Hello, 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 and welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me remind you that we are covered by the BIPCOT No Government License, which allows for the reuse and distribution of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. This episode is also protected by Brandenburg v. Ohio, which I think I'll be saying several times tonight. 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything we say here on this podcast is hypothetical. Yeah, we're unsupervised again tonight, so we're joined by our unofficial third leg, Mr. Kristofer, Mr. Valhallarkist.
That's a mouthful.
That's what she said.
3 times this morning.
I have no comeback for that one. Also what she said. All right. Anyway, I'm having a foo bar of a night.
And many technical issues.
If you can hear the buzz in the audio, that's because everything hates me. like I said earlier to you guys, like I can start a fire like 17 different ways without know shit about computers. Unfortunately, I can't do a podcast from fire. So
I mean, you probably could, but I don't know how well that would work. Let's go over to Jason, see what he has to say. It hurts! Okay.
Oddly, that's the same thing he said last time.
He just keeps doing that.
I do like a cave drawing with the ash or something, but I don't think that counts. People can't listen to that.
Little charcoal sketches of stick figures wearing headphones with microphones and really long cuneiform sentences back and forth. And
1,000 years from now, scientists are going to be so fucking confused.
It would be very good. Well, Lindsay, she majored in archaeology in college. And, I obviously majored in history. So, like, we've laughed about occasionally in archaeological digs, you find things that make no sense. Like, there doesn't seem to be any, like, logical reason that something is where it is. And it's usually in graves. And I still maintain that I think it was just ancient people knowing that they were going to screw with somebody eventually. Just being like, hey, guys, you know how normally we just bury them with the stuff that belonged to them in life? Why don't we just throw in like a chicken leg? just to screw with everyone. That'll confuse them.
Shakes fist at ancient meme lords.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's exactly what they were doing. I guarantee you. Somebody's like, this will be funny.
I won't be here to see the joke, but it'll be fun.
Bad hunter, good trickster.
Yeah.
Vegetarian, ancient Indian word for bad hunter.
So, all right. We'll just get it. Let's do that. Let's do that first good story, and then the update on which is quickly becoming one of our favorite stories to talk about.
Are we gonna do a patch check real quick? Because I got my new patch.
Which
my
one's
lovely, my Igloo DevGru Boogaloo Teen 6.
Nice.
With an igloo on it.
With the big igloo.
Yep.
And then, like Kristofer has the Zen Bachelors come heavily armed.
Yep. Gotta stick with what works.
Yep. That's what I'm doing. I'm just rocking the Armed Evolutionist patch.
Yeah, see, I was torn between that one. My other new one that I got is my my Boogaloo flag with the big igloo and the Hawaiian pattern stripe.
Did you see? Did you see the picture posted by Oh, what Facebook page was it? I think it's Marvin Hammer. I think that's the one that posted it, but it's a cop arresting somebody and is wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, my fucking culture is not a costume. This is cultural appropriation.
Yeah, my culture is not a costume.
Yeah, I posted that on a Hootenanny Roundup, and I was like, our culture is not a costume, and they had posted it and said that's cultural appropriation, and somebody had commented, one of our followers, and it said worst Boogaloo boy ever.
Yeah. If you're watching the video version, there's the picture of it. The cops wearing Boogaloo print Hawaiian shirt. Arresting somebody. Bastard.
Yeah, asshole. No, that's ours.
I bet it was for something like drugs too.
Probably douche. Oh, we were just talking, me and Chris, about on Hootenanny Roundup. We got a message from a Karen because we posted the names of a pair of cops who arrested a woman here in Wisconsin.
They didn't arrest her. They didn't arrest her.
Okay, they interrogated her basically and threatened her.
Yes.
Because her kids were playing with the neighbor kids. And we posted their names, who they were. And she was all butthurt because we posted the names of the cops. And we're like, go fuck yourself. And her response was, well, I just think it's not appropriate when these cops are putting their lives on the line to protect us. And I'm like, what? It's okay. The name of the page is Inked Anarchist Hootenanny Roundup. What part of that indicates to you that I give a fuck about the lives of cops?
See, it's funny. When I started A Wolf in the Sheeple's World, that was like the second to last year of 100% reach. So like the page blew up to 14,000 or 12,000 people the first year, and then to like 25,000 the second year. And at least once a week, usually 2 or 3 times a week, I would get someone that would come by, and on like 10 posts straight, they would post Bible quotes. Yeah, just random Bible quotes, and I would get messages with Bible quotes, and it's just like, okay, that's nice. What's the point?
I don't understand what the context of this is. I don't know what you're hoping for here. That's like, if you're trying to witness right now, you are the worst witness ever. You are terrible at this.
I had religious Karens fucking with me.
I mean, we've gotten a few butthurt status already, which I count as a win.
Oh, I'm gonna get tons of those. Come on.
Oh yeah, we got a hardcore butthurt boomer statist on our most popular post, which was my Waco post. Waco anniversary post, and we got a couple of butthurt boomer Karens on that going, well, you don't know the facts, and I'm like, I do, and I literally posted them in the caption to this, actually.
You know what's funny is they'll come at you like that, but then you go like, oh yeah, I'm a Army veteran, and the first thing they'll do is calm down and thank you for your service, and then they'll start listening to you.
Oh yeah, every fucking time. And I love going, oh well, you know, our ROE would have thrown us all in prison for war crimes had we done what they did.
The ROE Ruby Ridge.
Yeah, we never would have been alone.
Was more loose than the ROE you guys were under in a freaking war zone.
Yeah, I started watching that new Netflix series Waco.
I haven't seen it.
It's not new. It was out on like Paramount in 2018, right for the 25th year anniversary.
Yep.
And that's actually based on a book written by a survivor.
2 books, actually. One is written by a survivor. The other one is written by the FBI negotiator who was at Ruby Ridge, showed up the day before the idiots up there shot Vicky.
Yeah, wasn't he horrified by both of them, if I recall correctly? Like, he was
he was.
What is wrong with you? Oh, my God.
Yes, he was. And he actually pushed back against the Bureau for allocating an additional $10 million to HRT.
Yeah. Because
the Waco survivor that wrote the book, he was actually on Free Man Beyond the Wall.
Yep.
With Pete Raymond or Pete Konak, whatever his name is, Mance Raider used to be. It's like episodes like I think it was like 217, 218 or something like that. But
yeah, it's I want to say it's 218, 217, 218 or 218 and 219. The links to that are actually on my Waco post on Inked Anarchist Hootenanny Roundup in one of the comments. I posted links to those. That
interview will make your blood boil and just feel so empathetic at the same time.
Oh, I listened to that podcast on my way home from work, the first episode, and then on my way to work the next day, the second episode. And it is horrifying. I mean, absolutely horrifying to hear from the perspective of someone who was there what they watched happen and realize that there are still idiots out there who actually buy the official story that the government just had no choice and they didn't do it. And the funny thing is, even the official FBI investigation of that said that they should have known better with the tear gas, that they knew that it was flammable and that they shouldn't be using that type, and they did it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Like even before that, even before the use of tear gas, like it was literally called Operation Showtime, and they called the media before the raid.
Oh yeah, they had an official media consultant for the ATF.
Yep.
To control the narrative that was getting out to the media about the whole works.
The one under the undercovers that were there at the beginning supposed to be doing the quote unquote investigation. Like they went running and shooting with Koresh and other members. Like they knew him, like they were on first name basis. They had shook his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could have stopped him at any time. They could have arrested him at literally any time without incident. But that's not what they wanted. They wanted Showtime.
Yeah, they wanted to make an example, and that's exactly what they did at the expense of 76 people, including 2 pregnant women and 25 children.
Right. Because that's justifiable.
Yep. All right, I gotta change that. I can't go into that article now. We can't talk about dead children and dead pregnant women and then talk about strippers.
I mean, I can, but
I can. I have no problem with that. I wasn't even a grunt like Andrew. I mean, but I understand.
Yeah, I can all day, man. That doesn't.
We'll push that to the end, and we'll come back to that.
We'll do it a little later. It's Lucky Devil Lounge, right up in Portland. Right, we talked about them before with Uber Eats. Or Boober Eats.
Yeah.
And then they had to change their name, but yeah, they did a little something else. All right, fuck it. Let's just go into it. We're doing it live. We'll be savages. All right.
From dead pregnant women and children to strippers. I love it.
Yeah, this article's from That Oregon Life, which I kind of expect with anyway, but it's if there's going to be a strip club open amidst the global pandemic, of course it's going to happen in Portland, Oregon. Lucky Devil Lounge started with the new food delivery service, with dancers bringing food to your door. The service was formerly called Boober Eats. It has since been renamed Lucky Devil Eats after Uber sent them a cease and desist letter. And now Lucky Devil Lounge got extra creative with their drive-through strip club. Customers arriving in their vehicle will be greeted by 4 dancers in short shorts and pasties, performing under the cover of an outdoor tent in the parking lot while waiting for their food.
Nice.
This is not the most American thing ever.
I don't know what it is. It's in fucking liberal Portland. If you're thinking about checking it out, the cost to use the drive-thru is $30 per car, plus $10 for each additional vehicle occupant. Ordering food is also required. The Go-Go drive-thru is open 6 to 10 Fridays and Sundays, and holidays like upcoming Cinco de Mayo. Oh, and one more perk. Free rolls of toilet paper are given out to the first 50 or 60 vehicles of the night.
No, honey, I just went out to pick up toilet paper and food. It was just a very expensive. No, I just stopped a couple other places. It's
So the question is the free roll of toilet paper to clean yourself up? Because they obviously can't see what you're doing in the car.
So you go there with the extra dark window tint.
It's just fantastic. Like there's no other words for it. It's just like it's
all I can think of is the Ron Swanson quote. God, I love this country so much.
Right?
Just nice.
Oh, that is amazing. The only way you could make that more American is if you also gave them like a silo of Bud Light and a revolver, like a 357. Like,
if you could like pick out a gun while they're dancing on the freaking cabinet, your hot wings are cooking. They're dancing on the table, and you're looking at guns.
I really like that double D. I mean Daniel Defense.
She brought out the H and K as far as the left side is H, the right side is K.
Hey girl, you're an HK charging handle because I want to slap you hard.
Burgers, beers, and boobs from the.
Come here, I got a bad lever for you.
Yeah, burgers, beer, and boobs. The 3 Bs. That's
Only missing is bullets.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
a thing of fucking beauty right there. That's like that video where that dude's getting a BJ while he's chugging a beer and just firing a pistol into the air. And I think if I remember, like AC/DC's playing in the background or something, and it's just like, God bless America.
the only way to make that like really more anarchist would be like if they were dodging taxes at the same time.
Yeah. And they have some really sleazy fucking accountant there to help you figure out how to transfer funds to the Grand Caymans and sell you Bitcoin.
little Bitcoin bead pasties.
Yeah.
Oh.
Really, they should just have Venmo codes on those. Because that way you don't need to bring cash. You can just scan it with your phone real quick and
transfer crypto. There you go.
Yeah. See?
No.
Crypto lap dance. Honey, why is our Bitcoin wallet like half empty?
No reason.
Just I helped somebody who was having a hard time. Yes.
There was this poor college student. She's working her way through medical school, and I felt bad, and I needed to help the poor girl out.
Hashtag support single moms.
Yeah, she right. Her and her son Jaden, who is her king, needed some assistance before she became a pediatrist.
Let me guess. She's in nursing school, right?
Yeah, exactly. She's
all right.
Her 2 sons, Jaden and Braden.
Now that we just lost all 3 of our female viewers.
Yeah. And her daughter Nevaeh, because she's creative. Oh, live, laugh, love.
God damn it, Karen.
I would rather see a fucking glowing neon swastika on a chick's wall than live, laugh, love. Like, I really would.
Live, laugh, love tramp stamps.
Oh, God. Or the semicolon. I will say the semicolon on the wrist tattoo is nice because if you see that on a chick, she puts out.
That's true.
What was the one I saw today? It said girls that played with wax when they were little are on the BSM now.
Yeah, exactly.
No. All right.
So where's the problem?
All right. Suspect in Springfield homicide was being robbed, documents say. Court documents say the suspect in Sunday's night homicide outside of a Springfield convenience store was being robbed when he fired the fatal shots. But prosecutors say that's because felonies were being committed. He's still culpable of murder. Austin Ball, 27, was charged Monday with second-degree murder in connection of the killing of 24-year-old Kaylin D. Troy. According to a probable cause statement, Troy and others had arranged to buy marijuana from Ball outside of the Phillips 66 on Kearney Street near Fulbright Avenue, but the would-be buyers hatched a plan to rob Ball.
Which makes you a douchebag of epic fucking proportions.
At some point during the 8 p.m. meetup, the statement says Ball became aware he was going to be robbed, and he fired 3 shots at Troy, who approached Ball's driver's side door. As Ball sped away, Troy's associates drove him to Cox North Hospital to be treated for gunshot wounds, according to the statement. The statement says Troy was then transported to Cox South Hospital, where he died. Police, meanwhile, used information from a witness to determine Ball was their suspect in the shooting. Okay, blah, 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 blah. The statement says Ball told police during the planned drug transaction, Troy approached his door and displayed a handgun. Ball allegedly said he feared for his life, so he fired at least 2 shots through the window at Troy. Ball was charged with second-degree murder under Missouri's felony murder rule, which holds that offenders culpable for murder if they commit a felony and someone else dies as a result.
That's such bullshit.
Yeah, in this case, prosecutors say underlying felonies that Ball committed were delivery of a controlled substance and unlawful possession of a firearm, since he has a prior felony conviction that would prohibit him from having a gun. And then it says, in a previous Missouri Supreme Court case, the court ruled that self-defense is not defense for felony murder. Ball is being held at Greene County Jail without bond and does not have an attorney listed, blah, blah, blah. He faced possible life sentences convicted.
So his earlier felony conviction was probably for victimless crimes such as, I don't know, selling weed.
Yeah.
And then he was being robbed. He was being threatened with grave violence by an asshole who had originally wanted to come and buy those same drugs off of him.
Yes.
He tries to save his own ass, and the state goes, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, and that's the thing, and that is where the drug war sets this stuff up, because if he had been able to be a regular businessman distributing his product in a regular store, then he would be protected,
right,
to use deadly force to keep himself from being robbed as a businessman, a legitimate businessman. This guy didn't want to shoot anybody. He didn't want to hurt anyone. He just wanted to sell them a product that they wanted. He was giving consenting adults a chemical compound which they were willingly choosing to put into their own bodies.
And because of it, now he could be facing life imprisonment, because those same douchebags that originally were telling him he wanted to buy the product were going to try to hold him up for it instead.
Yep.
How much of a low-life, cock-gobbling son of a bitch do you have to be to go down that road?
I mean, Jesus. And his name was what? Caden Troy was the guy who wound up getting his ass popped?
Yes.
Yeah. So, again, to refer back to a previous comment, I'm going to take a wild guess. It is Mama's a CNA. But,
a single CNA.
Yeah, probably.
You have to emphasize the single.
Caelan.
Kaylin? Yeah,
Kaylin.
That's, oh yeah, all day. That's
Kaylin.
Yeah. She's a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. But... Number one. Number two, this guy deserved everything that he got. He deserved the 2 shots to the fucking chest. He was trying to rob someone.
Don't start nothing, won't be nothing.
Yeah. All this dude wanted to do was sell him drugs. He just wanted to sell him a product.
I wouldn't even call weed a drug. Like, technically, according to the law, it's a drug, but it's not a drug. It's fucking weed. Yeah. But that's besides the point. It doesn't matter if he was selling weed or heroin or fucking used tires.
Yeah, he was selling him a product that he wanted. He was agreeing to deliver it to him in exchange for funds. This is a completely normal business transaction. The guy is going to rob him in any environment other than this stupid fucking drug war that America has going on. And we're basically one of the last countries in the world to bother with that. In any other environment, he would be completely justified in defending himself from armed robbery.
Yep. And if we had a true Second Amendment, like, there's no such thing as a felony exception, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
you committed a felony once upon a time, so you are no longer allowed a right.
Yeah, and he's like the guy's 27 years old. So whatever felony he committed, it obviously wasn't bad enough for him to be locked up for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, I mean,
That's where we came up
he-
with the idea. He's probably drug possession with intent to deliver.
Yeah, in my eyes, 27, he's still a fucking kid, right? Like you don't go to big boy prison until you're what, 21?
Yeah, I mean, he's 8 years younger than I am.
Yeah.
That's not a small and insignificant number of years. So I mean, at 27 years old, I don't know. I probably committed a couple of felonies that I should have, or that I could have had my rights taken away with. But hell if I know.
You've committed a lot of felonies, an average of 3 per day that you didn't even know you were committing because there are that many felony laws.
You almost did one accidentally.
Hypothetically, I may, it's possible that somebody that I know may have committed one today.
Hypothetically, that is distinctly
hypothetically, but I couldn't confirm or deny whether or not that is in fact the case.
Chances are, statistically, you committed a couple today and didn't even know you were doing it.
Or maybe knew and just didn't care, but
Either way, the average American commits 3 felonies a day. So what we're talking about is a guy who isn't actually any worse than the average American. And he's now looking at life in prison because he defended himself from armed robbery.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It says that in this case, prosecutors say the underlying felonies. So, like, if this was just a self-defense issue, the guy would be fine. It would be self-defense shooting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because it was in the commission of a felony, right, selling a controlled substance, cannabis, and because he has a prior conviction, somehow that makes him not allowed to defend himself.
Yeah, magically. Now it's not okay.
Yeah, and what I find really interesting about that is if he had, for whatever reason, reached through his window and gut the guy who was trying to hold him up like a fish with a sword or a knife, he'd probably
it still would have been murder because
he was committing a felony.
Because he was committing a felony.
Right, and Wisconsin's actually, I think, got the same law. I know for sure Texas does, Louisiana does, New York does, New Jersey does,
California does. Actually,
California.
My brother, he's not blood, but I've known the guy like 25 years, 26 years. He's actually was recently arrested for defending himself, and one of the things that, because it was in the commission of a felony, because he has previous convictions, he's gonna do life for defending himself because he was previously arrested for drugs or some stupid BS. I don't remember. But
and then they sit there and they wonder why people hate cops and why people are just no longer giving a shit about the law, and because it's retarded, because it makes no sense. Like, I think we can all agree that if there were laws that made sense, we wouldn't object to obeying them.
Like a law saying, hey, murder is wrong. Find me an anarchist anywhere that says murder is okay.
You won't find any true anarchist who says that it's okay, that murder, which is killing without cause, is okay. Right.
But defending yourself is an entirely different ball of wax.
Yeah, and it's laws, which is, I think, one of those big things that people misunderstand about anarchism too, largely in the regular statist communities. They're like, oh, you just want to be able to do whatever you... No, I don't want to just do whatever I want to whoever I want with zero consequences. That isn't what anarchy is about. Anarchy is just about natural law. And murder is still wrong in natural law, but that isn't what we're talking about here. We're not talking about natural law. We're talking about you just decided arbitrarily that because previously they had done something that you, with your arbitrary edicts, declared wrong.
Yep.
Now they're not allowed to defend themselves at all. They have to be victims. And because this dude tried to rob him, he defended himself from the robbery, and he was doing something that you arbitrarily declared wrong. You're now going to charge him for killing a man who was trying to kill him.
Yes, in self-defense. And
Right.
we haven't even brought up the whole point that felony convictions and a lot of these like probation orders and things like that, like if a person is enough of a threat that you feel the need for them to still be on parole or to carry a felony for the rest of their life, but you let them out of jail, so they're obviously not that much of a threat.
Yeah, why are you not keeping them in prison if you honestly believe they're that much of a threat?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I mean, even before I joined the ranks of the anarchists, when I was a statist, I told many people, look, what is the problem with somebody who was previously convicted of something that was nonviolent? Their debt to society has been paid. They've been released from prison. All of their sentences, their complete sentence has been met. So all their fines, everything is 100% met.
Mm-hmm.
Why shouldn't they get all their rights back?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're not even let's not even go off on the whole debt to society thing.
No,
that's a big misnomer also, but
it is. But that's a term that statists understand. You use that term with statists, and they're like,
they don't even understand it.
That's true.
It's a talking point.
Yeah, it's an arbitrary.
It's like this
nebulous
coronavirus thing. We're all in this together.
Oh, fuck that.
Oh, we're fucking not.
Yeah, no, we aren't. And the beautiful thing about what's happening now, what we're starting to see a lot, is serious, major pushback.
Oh my God, we got a couple articles about that.
Yeah,
too.
Over the coronavirus thing, where people are finally, truly declaring, I have had enough of your bullshit.
Well,
I am going to go back into business, and you can shove it up your ass.
Just talking about what came up earlier about the woman here in Wisconsin who stood up to the cops, who showed up to her house because her daughter was playing with the neighborhood kid. When she and I spoke, she said something to the effect of, I never would have done this previously, but this is getting ridiculous. I'm sick of it. And that's why she laid into the cops the way she did and said the things that she said on the video.
The state has overplayed its hand.
Absolutely. And even people that would typically be on board with, the police are just trying to do their jobs. The vast majority of the people that would normally sit in that camper going, this is stupid.
Yeah. And it's... And this is the time when you start to bring up the ideas of anarchism and the Boogaloo to these people so that you can make sure that they understand there's a better way.
Yes. Let's
By the way, Andrew, she's starting to follow the Hootenanny Roundup.
Woohoo!
Let's jump into that one. God, I'm so looking forward to this article. Not this article, like this article is just a setup to the next article. Right? I think you know what I'm talking about, but
yep, I know where you're going.
I'm
that's good because I'm lost.
Fanboy, right? Andrew knows I'm a fanboy. Anyway, and the freaking pop propaganda from this is just all right. So this is from the Idaho Statesman. But the next two articles are from the Idaho Statesman, and it says Idaho anti-vax activist arrested after group gathers at Meriden Playground. And it says an Idaho anti-vaccination activist was arrested at Julius M. Kleiner Memorial Park in Meriden on Tuesday afternoon after police asked families who gather on a closed playground to leave. Sarah Walton Brady, 40, of Meriden, was non-compliant and refused to leave after being given many opportunities, police said. She was arrested on one count of misdemeanor trespassing. She was booked into Ada County Jail and released. I don't know how you can trespass in a public park, but
yeah, isn't it public? Don't we all own it? Isn't what they always argue?
Yeah. According to police, as children played on the playground equipment, which had police caution tape around it when they arrived, parents questioned a Meriden department police officer about why the playground was closed. On March 23rd, in response to the coronavirus pandemic, the city of Meriden closed city playgrounds and outdoor exercise equipment while allowing walking paths to remain open. How benevolent of them. All right. Walton Brady is an activist for parental medical rights at the Idaho State House. She runs Idahoans for Vaccine Freedom, a Facebook group, and has been outspoken in the past about parental rights and government-imposed restrictions.
Okay.
What a shock. So they arrested a woman who is standing up for parental rights against arbitrary edicts of who?
Well, so, but I mean, even more importantly here, it needs to be noted in regards to the headline here. This woman was not protesting vaccinations.
No, absolutely not. She was not protesting vaccination, even though the article says it like 4 times.
Yeah, none of what she was doing had a single tiny thing to do with her being anti-vax. Nothing.
No, it was simple civil disobedience.
Yeah, but
because she took her kid to a public park, and I can't emphasize that word enough. Public park, and let her kid get a little bit of outdoor time that wasn't confined to her yard. What a freaking travesty that is.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it should be noted, like, I'm pro-vax. All right. I know there are plenty of people who follow me who I'm friends with who are anti-vax, whatever, we agree to disagree on certain things. I am also very anti-government mandated vaccine because that's fucking horrifyingly.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but I am not anti-vax, but I support this woman in this 100%, and none of what she was doing had a goddamn thing to do with her being anti-vax. They're trying to use a headline to manipulate public sentiment.
Yes.
Right.
According to a police press release, officers on Tuesday night responded after several calls were made to dispatch. Officers then informed those gathered that the playground structure was closed and that they were welcome to utilize open areas of the park. After the arrest of Brady, police cordoned off the playground again with caution tape, signifying its closure. Video on Facebook showed some people taking that tape down as well.
Good.
Police said metal signage showing that the playground was closed was also removed.
Wait, so what they told
what
they told these people was, you can't use the pre-built structures, but you can all interact just fine.
Yep.
Over in the open field over there. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Quote, these are trying times, and the Meriden Police Department supports the public's right to assemble for peaceful protest. However, that right does not include damaging public property or ignoring closures of city property and facilities. The
city property is public property. What
said on Tuesday?
But see, you'll get that from Status all the time.
Oh, yeah,
they'll say endlessly, well, it's public property, we all own it. But then when you're like, okay, so I should get to use it how I see fit, they go, well, no, but it's not yours. Is it fucking Schrodinger's property? It's both mine and not mine simultaneously?
Oh, absolutely. That's how the government wants it. It's absolutely Schrodinger's property because they want you to go out there and enjoy these beautiful green parks, right? But don't you dare, don't you freaking dare do anything to damage that pristine green.
Like the parks here are closed. Like they have police tape up around the parks and all that other stuff, right? And then like the trails have signs that says you're free to walk and free to run on the trails, but the trails are closed to biking.
What? Like, but I missed that report where they decided that bikes make you more susceptible to COVID-19. That's somebody should really tell the hipsters.
The town that I live in is the confluence of 3 major bike trails in the state of Wisconsin.
Oh God, yeah. The Sparta Elroy area is known for its trail.
Yeah.
It's
so let's get back to this article. It says Walton Brady said to the crowd through a megaphone, quote, "I'm going to fight this. I was in a public park I pay my taxes on." She goes on to call the government tyrannical and police wrong.
And yet you still willingly pay them.
Yeah, quote, right. Please let this inspire you. Please let's continue to band together as freedom lovers and let's stop this tyranny from occurring.
They were tyrannical long before that, sweetie.
And then Dustin Hurst of the Idaho Freedom Foundation, he also encouraged disobeying the stay-at-home order. He said, quote, "This can't stand. If we allow this type of behavior by our government, the people we employ to work for us. If we let this stand, then they will think they can do this in other capacities for the long run. I don't care if it's a pandemic or not."
This is what I want to see. I want to see half the city's adults show up in full kit and surround the park and let the kids just go hog freaking wild on the playground equipment.
They're already fucking germ buckets, man.
It's funny you should mention that because the other article.
Yeah, we're getting there.
I know. We're getting there.
Also from the Idaho State Senate, also full of propaganda. It says, "Anti-government activist Bundy protested officer's home."
Why have we not had Eamon on here yet? Like, has anybody hit him up?
No.
Yet to see? Like, I think I'm going to. I'm gonna talk to him and see if he wants to be on the show.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
There's so much propaganda on this. There's so much propaganda on this one also, you guys. It's just anti-government activist
media.
Bundy was one of several protesters who showed up to a southwestern Idaho police officer's home after that officer took into custody an activist at a city playground closed because of the coronavirus. The protesters at the officer's home on Tuesday are angry with Republican Governor Brad Little's stay-at-home order that went into effect March 25th and is in place until at least April 30th. Meriden is one of numerous cities that have closed at least some portions of parks.
Hang on, before you go any further, I just want to posit this idea. Grunt Style on Facebook, they always advertise anonymously sending bags of dicks to people. It's like little candies. I wonder if they have any in stock.
Actually, you know who definitely.
There's an actual site where you can do that anonymously.
Actually, a site that a buddy of mine runs, oafnation.com. That stands for operator as fuck. Nation.com. Has a very special eat a dick, which is what can only be described, to quote Superbad, as a big veiny triumphant fucker made out of chocolate. It's something like 13 inches long. It comes in a lovely gift box with the words "just for you to enjoy" on the outside. It costs like $14. You get to send it anonymously if anyone's interested in sending this to the police department, which took part in this.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that they should.
Or the governor.
Yeah.
Or the governor.
Back to the article. It says, and it goes on to say, anti-vaccine activist Sarah Brady. There it is. There's the term again. Several parents who on Tuesday went to the closed playground, blah, 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 blah. They arrested her. And then it says, after some back and forth, Brady, that evening protesters showed up at the officer's home where other uniformed officers stood as a barrier. Ammon Bundy, who lives in southwestern Idaho, was the leader of an armed group of anti-government activists who took over a national wildlife refuge in Oregon in 2016. He faced numerous charges but was acquitted in federal court. Come on, all right. Bundy asked one of the officers guarding the home to give some type of grievance Bundy had written to the officer in the home, and it was placed on the door of the home. Governor Brad Little, during a press conference Thursday, announced a phased approach at reopening the state, called the protests at the officer's home, quote-unquote, disgusting.
No.
And then it says Idaho had 1,802 confirmed cases of the virus and 54 deaths, according to trafficking by John Hopkins.
Just out of curiosity, what is the population of Idaho?
It's a good thing you asked that because I just happen to have a smartphone in my hand. And
I'm sitting in front of a computer
right now.
To interwebs.
And it says 1,787,000.
So
that is a tiny population for a state.
Yeah, it is. And that's a good sized state.
It's only like 500,000 more than my county, but
yeah, that is not many.
but I mean, you're talking about Christ, what was that? 1,800, and it was like what 1.8 million in the entire state, something like that.
Yes.
And they had 54 deaths.
And they're arresting this woman for criminal trespass on public property.
Is she not part of the public magically?
I guess not. Just because she's anti-vax, I'll bet you that's what it is.
Just imagine. Nope, we voted you off the island. You are the weakest link. Like what?
Goodbye.
What? Am I not part of the public anymore? When did I get that memo? What?
She didn't get the memo for the extra cover sheet on the TPS.
Okay, so 1,802 of the 1,878,000 or whatever it is 0.00000100839.
So 1/1,000,000th? 1/1,000th?
Sounds like 1/1,000th of a percent.
No, it's like 1/100,000th.
1/100,000th of a percent of the population.
Yes.
Has been infected with the virus, confirmed. Because you got to take into effect that they're taking into account that there have been a number of reports saying that because of the contagious, right, the vast majority of these cases are asymptomatic, and even those that are symptomatic, the vast majority of those are incredibly mild and never get tested in the first place. So you're talking, even if you were to increase that by a factor of 40, which is average based on the studies, a factor of 40, but the deaths remain the same. I mean, you're talking about such a minuscule population.
And then consider that those COVID-19 death reports fail to account for comorbidities.
Right. And they're
such
also,
as
they're
existing
COPD. They're also inflated because the CDC is counting anybody that dies with COVID-related, whether they've been tested positive or not, if they have COVID-related symptoms when they die, it counts as a COVID death.
Despite the fact that we're also in an influenza A outbreak.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I had.
And that's not including like if you have heart disease, but you have sniffles, it counts as a COVID death.
Yep, exactly. So, in fact, it got so bad that Pennsylvania had to walk back their numbers by something like 3/4 because all of these coroners came forward to bitch about it. So they had to walk all that back. Well, so what we're talking about is,
what was it, like 4 or 5 days ago? New York added 3,100?
3,700.
They just added 3,700 to the totals because they suspected, quote unquote, that they died of COVID, and that's what put them over 10,000.
Yeah, because none of it's about protecting you. None of it's about the reality. It's about, we got to make everybody panic. We got to make sure they stay scared so that we get to keep all of these super awesome draconian powers. All of this Orwellian shit gets to keep going. We got to keep everybody scared. Oh my God. But so what, to the point though, Chris, what you're making is 54 people. And then figure it was probably actually less than that. It's probably about 20.
I'd even give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say 50% of that. So 27?
Even if it is 54. Even
out of 1.8 million.
Right. You're talking about a grain of sand on a beach.
Yeah.
I have pulverized this tiny piece of silica sand into powder, but everything else must stay in place because this tiny little piece of sand went, please.
Yeah, and like we have. Okay, let's get back to the article. And
why? This is more fun.
I know it's more fun, but hold on. You guys know
I want to talk about how cool Ammon is.
Fun boy or fanboy, right? The amount of testicular fortitude it takes to show up at a police officer's house.
Oh yeah, armed.
This is the solution.
No, that's not. It's a Glock.
Which is why it's the solution, because it works.
That's right. Hang on. Before you go any further with that, I need to preface this. I hate Glocks. I absolutely hate them, but they work, and I can shoot the piss out of them.
What have I been saying for you?
Work, it doesn't mean you have to use them.
The problem is if I were to take my accuracy with my old M&P that I had versus my accuracy with this, they're comparable, but the parts for this one are far more ubiquitous. So if shit goes down, I'm okay.
I can't argue against the uniformity.
Yeah, y'all can hate my beloved Tupperware guns all you want, but at the end of the day,
your Tupperware gun is 10 millimeter. You don't get to talk about uniformity.
Hey,
I also have a 9 millimeter.
You do, and I know where you got that from, fucker. And actually, the one that I just held up is the one that I picked up with the proceeds. Just saying. Honestly, I want a 10 millimeter Tupperware gun myself, just because it's 10 millimeter.
It is freaking the greatest pistol round ever invented.
What I'd really like to do is build a pistol caliber carbine in 10.
I've wanted to do that for years. Yeah, I think that's definitely something we need to work on, but unofficially, of course.
Unofficially, of course.
But I do want to talk about Ammon. I want to talk about what he did, because and if anybody out there knows him and wants to hit him up and say, hey, you need to get a hold of one of these guys because they really want you on their show, please do, because we do really want him on the show. We want to talk to him. I want to have a conversation with that man. Yes, I would like to have an in-depth conversation with Ammon. But Jason, please continue with what Ammon's badassery is in this instance.
I don't have anything else.
So they long story short, they showed up at this cop's house. They stood there outside in his house. If you saw the video, it was amazing because all the dudes' blinds were pulled. They even served him with a petition of all the people that said this is up, and the one cop taped it to his door because he refused to answer it. Is great.
Yeah. Throwing again Brandenburg v. Ohio. All right, I'm just going to throw that out there. Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969. All right. There's a huge step. There's a huge difference between holding a rally like in Virginia and showing up at a motherfucking cop's door.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Oh, yeah. There's a big difference between what happened in Madison yesterday, where something like 2,500 people showed up.
According to FPC, it looked to be more about $3,000.
Oh yeah,
it would have been higher, or not FPC, WIFC, or Wisconsin Firearms, whatever it is.
Yeah.
According to them, it's closer to about 3 to 3.5, 3,500. And it would have been a lot higher if it wasn't for the National Guard and the State Patrol rerouting traffic away from the state capitol.
So
most people that showed up after everything started going down there in front of the capitol went all the way up to DeForest and took the county roads on the back roads down into the capitol and then walked in.
Yeah, Evers called out. So anyone who doesn't know, we had here in Wisconsin, and both me and Chris are in Wisconsin. Here in Wisconsin, we had a giant protest yesterday, or day before yesterday. Sorry, Friday.
This Friday.
A giant protest on state capitol grounds against Evers hyper draconian shutdown, which he extended to the end of May, even though Wisconsin has no new reported cases and far fewer deaths than even the national average.
Not Wisconsin. Wisconsin has new reported cases.
Yeah, but very, very few.
Off.
Yeah, and we have like no new deaths. We're doing just fine. And yet Evers is extending this. They're protesting.
Beyond his 60 days of authority.
And if you see the pictures, so what you need to realize when you see the pictures, all the people in one quadrant of the grass on the Capitol Square, is that Capitol building is twice the size of the one in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Our dome was originally so big, they had to make it smaller because Washington, D.C. complained that ours was bigger. This is a massive building on a level that you need to see to believe. It's huge.
The Capitol in Wisconsin is literally not just the home to the legislature of both chambers of the legislature, the Supreme Court's in there, the 90% of the cabinet for the state government resides in this building. And on top of that, you also have the governor's office. So there's no separate building that the governor resides. I mean, he lives there, but he
lives in a separate building. Yeah, there is
but his office isn't there like it is at the federal level or even most states. He has an office on premise right there at the Capitol, along with all of his staff. I mean, this is a massive building.
Yeah, it's very, very huge, and the lawn around it is super gigantic. I mean, it really is. Like, each one of those quadrants is an NFL football field.
Right.
And it is coated edge to edge in people. Now, we had a guy on Inked Anarchist Hootenanny Roundup who's like, oh, I was like 600 people, because he's probably mentally delayed. So that is an enormous amount of people that are there. The media did everything they could to either show that from extreme zoom out, so the people who didn't know the scale of the building and the scale of the grass didn't know just how big it was, and everything they could to only show small sections that were sparsely populated with people rather than where they were all concentrated together, so that you couldn't see just how many people there were. There were a lot of people. Now, there was a lot of American flag waving, which is depressing, but there was also more than one Boogaloo flag.
I counted 3 on the Wisconsin Firearm Policy Coalition.
Yeah.
Live cast. I counted 3 total big igloo flags that people were carrying around.
This is how sick of this shit people are getting. Right. They're getting to this point where this pushback is starting to really happen. There was that huge, huge protest that was occurring. But even if it had been armed, that's a generic protest against generic policies. Mm-hmm. What Jason's talking about,
it's against the policymakers, the lawmakers.
Right.
Well, not Evers in particular, because he's the only policymaker here.
Because changing who's driving the car is totally going to make the car safe.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And a lot of them seem to think that, and they just don't get it. Although changing the driver of the car from Walker to Evers really did do a lot to start some serious draconian shit.
Evers hit a fucking tree, and then you guys are spinning.
Yeah.
A tree, no. Evers would have made sure he didn't hit the tree because he was too busy, like, trying to hug the tree while he was driving.
Well, the reason that Evers hasn't done more is because we still have an opposition Congress, state Congress.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the only reason.
Anyway, all right, back to the ammunition.
But no, what Jason was saying though is that there is a huge difference between that generic and what Ammon and his buddies did.
Yeah, showing up at the cop's house, going, "Hey, fucker, listen."
Yeah, there's a huge. It is an escalation. It's very much an escalation. It is like we have in this country a almost a reverence when it comes to police officers, right? A lot of people, they think of them in the same in the same shoeboxes as the military and the firefighters and all these other, you know, usurping authoritarian.
Yeah, and weirdly, that's a 20th century thing too.
Yes.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, I would even include myself. I respect the fact that my mom, she spent 19 years as a sheriff's deputy. She was the first woman in that county to be an actual armed deputy.
Mm-hmm.
That is within reason, that is a matter of pride for my family, because she broke that particular glass ceiling. The problem is she was also a cop and did a lot of things that I don't agree with. But I mean, knowing my mom the way I did, I would say, without beyond a shadow of a doubt, she honestly thought that what she was trying to do was making a difference. Even if she was misguided. She might have been misguided about what she was doing, but a lot of it, she honestly felt she was doing it to make a difference. And I can respect somebody who thinks that they're doing the right thing in lieu of actually looking for the legitimate information.
And that's, and it's an important point that I think the majority, I really do think, because I know a lot of cops, unfortunately. I know a lot of cops. I know I helped train the Reno, Nevada SWAT team. Like, I know those guys. I know these people. And the majority of them do honestly believe that what they're doing is the right thing. What you need to remember is that there's all the difference in the world in believing you're doing the right thing because you've been presented false information and incorrect information, and getting presented the reality and shown it and rejecting it anyway.
Yes. And that's what I'm getting at, is I get a lot of flack from my own family, even because of my stance on things. Because of, growing up in a household with my dad, who spent 25 years in the Army, and my mom, who spent 19 years as a cop. And then you look at me and I'm like, and they're like, how in the hell did you arrive where you are now? And I point at Andrew and say, look at that fucker right there.
It's my fault. Sorry.
It's
not
fault.
Sorry, but
no, it's not really your fault. I was headed down that road when I first met you. And I know you and I had some back and forth, but you made way too much sense and you pushed me over the edge.
And that's why Andrew's not invited to Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, I'm really.
He's invited to my house. He's always welcome at my house.
Yeah, my family doesn't invite me to like family functions unless they find it to be absolutely necessary, and I find it very necessary to have alcohol if I'm gonna have to deal with my family, because the bootlicking.
Well, I went to, not to get off track too far, but I can recall going to a Thanksgiving dinner.
We're off the track, up the canyon, and over.
Yes, we're so far off track. The train has plummeted into the river at this point. It is.
Are we talking about the Snake River, or are we talking about the La Crosse River? There's a difference.
We jumped the gorge.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
All right, okay. Let's.
Going to family functions for me, if I go to like family Thanksgiving, we used to go, it was a tradition to go to my aunt and uncle's for Thanksgiving. And the last time I went down there, I was still, I was a libertarian leaning towards anarchy, but I was still in the libertarian camp. And they asked me, when Scott Walker passed Act 10, they're like, don't you think the teachers deserve to be protected? No. Well, why not? Because they're teaching my kids to lick boots.
Well, and even God, we could do an episode on that entire thing. And Chris, you and I might at some point just on my show do that. But no, it's. But what I'm saying is that, because I try to bring up a lot on this show, like things, the way that anarchists need to approach things to lead other people to anarchy. And as in your face as I tend to be and aggressive, and you also need to realize that there are people who literally have never, ever in their lives been presented an alternative to statism.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They've never even considered, because no one's brought it up to them, that maybe they're not doing the right thing. Maybe, like, there are plenty of cops who really want to make a difference in their communities. There really are. And with as much as I hate cops and I say FTP and all cops are bastards, because I really believe that if you're enforcing those things, you're a bad person. That doesn't mean that they're irredeemable.
Right. And I will say, I've met a cop. I'm not going to say what department they're from, but I have met a cop. And
For their protection.
For their protection. That's exactly it. I've met a cop. I sat down with him and I talked to him. And I'm like, do you realize that where you are and what you do, when you compare it to individual liberty, what you're doing is just completely throwing people under the bus for things that, really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. I mean, if you're arresting somebody because they walked up to their neighbor and blew them in the head, well, that's one thing. Okay, you have my support.
Yeah, there's a victim there.
But exactly. Or if you're arresting somebody because they got drunk behind the wheel, crashed their car, and the car went airborne through the daughter's window of the person who lived on that particular corner, okay, you have my support. But when you pull somebody over and you use the lame ass excuse of, oh, I smell weed, just to justify searching their vehicle for nothing, you don't have my support for that. And he goes, I never thought about it like that. It's like, well, if you live your life looking for the victim so that way you can do what you're doing and ignore society, because that's the problem, is they all believe society is the victim. But I actually got him, I got pulled over by him a couple of weeks ago, and he goes, you're good. You didn't even run my ID. He's like, just letting you know you're going too fast. Have a good day.
Yeah, okay, and there's the possibility there for some. They're not all going to listen to you. I mean, obviously, they're not all. But you need to realize that there are some people in law enforcement, there are people in the military, there are people who, if you talk to them and you give them logical reason justifications for anarchy and why what they're doing doesn't make sense and why they're really fighting for the evil empire, not against it. They're not the rebels, right? They're not Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. They're the stormtroopers and Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. Like when you point that out,
Finn.
Yeah, like once you start doing that, there are some of them who will listen to you. But you got to present it right and you got to approach them right. Doing it just angrily and nastily and immediately defensively.
I'm not a fan of brutalism at all.
Oh, I hate it. We just had that on the page. Remember the other day, Chris, we had that on the page where I had a guy that was asking me where he's like, well, I've rejected anarchism because none of it makes sense and no one ever wants to explain it. He's like, well, but how would you do this? How would you resolve conflicts? How would you do these things? And I started presenting, there's the video that helped convert me to anarchism, the a conflict resolution in a free society video.
I remember that. That video is actually what got me pulled over too.
Right. And that was the one that changed all of my perspective. And all of a sudden I realized, like, holy crap, this can happen. This can work. And I showed him that. And I started introducing him to Shane's podcasts and his books, all of the Vanu stuff and everything. And I started pointing that out. And I'm like, just read up on it. Watch these videos, watch these podcasts. They'll answer these questions and they'll do it in detail. All of the questions that you have are the same ones that I did. And so I know where you're coming from. Look at these. And all of a sudden things will start to fall into place and you'll understand. You need to realize that sometimes just being nasty and mean to people doesn't work. Like you're not going to convince them. You gotta occasionally be like nurturing and educating, because if you really want to change the world, you don't do that by making everybody just hate you out of hand.
Right. And I've been guilty of that, where people start saying shit and I'm like, you realize how stupid you sound, right? And obviously that's not generally received well. But half the time, I would say about 40% of the time, I get, well, what do you suggest instead? And then I throw in that link that you sent me 2.5 years ago, Andrew, about conflict resolution in a free society. And when I show them that, they look at it and they're like, "My God, you're right."
I honestly think that especially for people who are coming from a right-wing background and a military background, that video is one of the single most important videos in anarchism, to show them that you can fix conflicts without the need for a state. That is the single biggest thing you will ever be able to show them. It opened my eyes in a way that I can't even describe to you. It changed your mind. I hope it changed those guys' minds. You gotta be willing to educate people and not just hate on them. But I mean, you also have to be willing to stand up for what you believe in a very real fucking way.
All right. Well, yeah. If you're going to be a pro-freedom, pro-legitimate freedom, not this freedom theater that has become the United States of America. If you're going to be a pro-freedom type of person, you have to be willing to get your hands dirty in defense of that. If you're not, Brandenburg v. Ohio, that's the third time. But if you're not willing
to... I'm about to drop it again, too.
If you're not willing to actually get your hands dirty in defense of individual freedom, then, as Benjamin Franklin would have said, you don't deserve it.
Yeah, those who have essential liberty for security deserve neither. Yeah. So, all right. On that note, let's light this train on fire. Brandenburg v. Ohio. Let's see. Amid the pandemic, U.S. militia groups plot the Boogaloo, a.k.a. Civil War, on Facebook.
I love this article so much.
So much fear porn. Oh my god.
This is from our friends at HuffPost.
HuffPo, the legendarily objective and trustworthy journalist. I actually
totally partisan.
Totally bipartisan.
No agenda at all.
Yeah, no,
they're the most trustworthy. They're amazing.
They're almost as reliable as the Young Turks.
Yeah, they're
literally the mirror of the place. That's what they are.
Yeah, they're and like One America News Network, they definitely didn't have to lay off an entire wing that was so hyper left and ultra feminist and irritated even their own hyper left readers to the point that no one wanted to read a single one of those articles. That definitely didn't happen with them.
All right, let's don't get into this group. I mean, the train's already on fire, but I mean, come on. All right.
Hang on before you start reading this article. What I have in mind, what I'm picturing right now, is that GIF you see on Facebook all the time of the garbage truck on fire, racing down the road.
Yeah, just screaming.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Hashtag dumpster fire 2020.
This is like the dumpster on fire in the flood. As there's like a tornado in the background. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, where it's got the arms and eyeballs, where it's going as it goes.
The GIF you see of the floating dumpster. Yeah, have you ever? You know what I'm talking about with the floating dumpster that's on fire? That, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but if I remember right, the highway sign that you see at the beginning of that GIF, I kid you not, is from Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think that's actually Viola.
All right. Now that the train's on roller skates and on fire. All right. Back to the article. So, thousands of armed right-wing militants are plotting a violent uprising against the U.S. government during the coronavirus crisis, a new report finds, and Facebook is providing them a platform to prepare and organize.
What?
Hold on. A report published Thursday by the watchdog group, the Tech Transparency Project, found 125 Facebook groups devoted to the idea of Boogaloo, a far-right term used to describe what they believe is an inevitable civil war in the U.S. Inevitable civil war in the U.S. Members discuss weapons, combat medicine, and how to develop explosives. The report says one group even shared a document detailing how to disrupt U.S. government supply lines and discussing the possible need to assassinate government officials.
What? I can't imagine who they could possibly be talking about right now.
I have no idea. Like they should list these groups for us to avoid. Just absolutely.
Ohio says I must say this in the hypothetical sense. So what you're saying is there's the possibility that the need may arise for people to overthrow a tyrannical, lunatic government, which may include the necessity of assassination attempts or full-blown assassinations on elected officials. Is that what I'm hearing?
I am very confused to what they could possibly be referring.
This is from the same people. This is from the same people that compared Trump to Hitler.
Yes.
And called cops racist.
I would point to our neighbors
to cops to be disarmed.
Yeah. The same people who straight up said that elected officials and unelected government officials were dangerous and couldn't be trusted.
Yes. All right, back to the article.
They're not wrong in that.
Yeah, back to the article. Okay. These groups have proliferated during the pandemic, according to the report, as right-wing extremists grow more agitated over lockdown orders aimed at slowing the spread of the virus. Measures many militia and, quote, patriot groups view as oppressive maneuverings of a tyrannical government.
Hold up. I got to stop you right there. So the friend of mine from work who just told me the other day that she and her husband just went out, maybe it was a week ago. They got their Trump change. They went out and they picked up a pair of AR-15s because they thought that Tony the Tyrant was getting out of control.
Yes.
But they are historic. They voted for that jackass.
Yes.
They are right-wing extremists and militia and patriot groups, right?
Yes.
Is that what I'm understanding here?
Yes. I'll read the paragraph again.
All right.
Okay. Quote, or the article says, these groups have proliferated during the pandemic, according to the report, as right-wing extremists grow more agitated over lockdown orders aimed at slowing the spread of the virus.
Right-wing
measures many militia and, quote, patriot groups view as oppressive maneuverings of a tyrannical government.
I love that patriot is in quotes in that article.
Yes, patriot.
Andrew, did you hear me just a minute ago?
No, I was grabbing a beer. What?
No? Okay, I'm just letting you know. I told Jason about, and the listeners, of course, about a friend of mine that I work with who admitted to me that she voted for Tony the Tyrant. She and her husband recently went to a local gun shop, not our friends down there in Kendall, and bought a pair, not one, but a pair. With their Trump change, a pair of AR-15s. Guns that 6 months ago they wanted to abolish.
Gosh, it's interesting how a sudden destruction of liberties causes people to suddenly realize.
Would you call that oppressive maneuverings of a tyrannical government?
Gosh, I think I might.
I might include that in that context. I mean something about it sounds awfully familiar.
So I read this article to Lindsay last night, and as I was reading it, she was cackling madly at the whole thing, and she's like, "Oh gosh, is it?" So, and you got to realize that Lindsay comes, unlike me, who came from a military, very right wing, because military, right? The military is generally extremely right wing background. Lindsay comes from the opposite, a very left wing, very pro Democrat, socialist background, and has also become a voluntarist right alongside me now. And but she's still cackling, and she's like, "Gosh, gee, isn't that interesting?"
And Andrew, I'm in the same boat you are. I grew up in, as I mentioned earlier, I grew up in pro-police, pro-military household. I enlisted in the military just like Andrew did. And I have sisters on diametric opposite ends of the political spectrum. One sister is fairly conservative. I would say, here's the middle. She's somewhere right about here. She's not all the way over here, as a lot of people are, but she's right about there. Now I have another sister who is way out here in left freaking field, where she says that Stalin wasn't that bad.
Wow.
All right, I'm just back to this article before we.
So it really blew, like their whole treatment of this through this whole article is like they've suddenly learned in the past 24 hours what the phrase "the Boogaloo" means, and they're just horrified.
And they're just they absolutely okay. So go. I'll read that paragraph again because I like laughing at it. These groups have proliferated during the pandemic, according to the reports, as right-wing extremists grow more agitated over lockdown orders aimed at slowing the spread of the virus. Measures many militia and, quote, patriot groups view as oppressive maneuverings of a tyrannical government. Over 60% of the groups were created in just the last 3 months, which, if you can count, 3 months would be well before the pandemic.
The shit hit the fan in the US.
But see, they're counting on you not noticing that and doing that.
The 125 groups have nearly 73,000 members, though it's unclear how many individuals may belong to multiple groups.
Right, guns matter.
About 50% of the group's members have joined in the last 30 days. Oh my God.
Gosh, do you mean that tyrannical moves by the government inspire people to suddenly become anti-government? What? That's so un-American.
It's funny because most of the Boogaloo boys aren't anti-government.
They're not, which is
they're not. They're absolutely not. They're absolute pro-Constitution.
Yeah, you really want to see that. Look at some of the anarchist Boogaloo pages. Bujahadeens for Liberty, which isn't quite anarchist, but very much leans that direction. Yeah, they're a pretty hardcore libertarian.
Anarchist, maybe.
I think the only anarchist Boogaloo page that I'm aware of is mine. I
have no idea what you're talking about.
Marvin Heemeyer's the Marvin Heemeyer page. That one pushes close to it pretty regularly. If it's not anarchist, I'd be surprised, but I'm definitely more blatant.
I get some hate for it too.
Yeah, and I'm definitely more blatant than they are. We just get less hate for it because when
Andrew,
we have people...
I need my due diligence here. You're more blatant. Come on.
Well, yeah, I mean we're all more blatant, but we definitely are much less compromising than they are. We're not particularly conciliatory because, dude, it's my fucking page. If you don't like it, don't like it. That's not my problem. I don't care. I'm not doing this for money.
I pull very few punches on a wolf and sheep world also.
And that's like with the post I made last night about those assholes over in Calumet County. I don't pull punches. I didn't pull any punches.
All right, back to the article. The groups have flourished despite Facebook community guidelines that prohibit facilitating, organizing, and promoting, quote, harmful activities targeted at people. The guidelines also ban, quote, statements of intent to commit high-severity violence.
I don't think any of us has made those statements.
Never.
I'm pretty sure that under Brandenburg v. Ohio, all of us have simply made a bunch of memes and cracked jokes.
Like I would say like 98, 99% of the Boogaloo comments and the Boogaloo memes are just absolutely comical and meme related and in jest, and then that 1% is government agents trying to incite violence.
Oh yeah, we had on both Hootenanny Roundup and Enemy of the State Stain Podstash.
I've seen him on Enemy of the State. Yeah.
Yeah, we had the same chick on both of them try on multiple posts to go, well, you need to do something and blah blah. So I said K-Fed, like, okay, Fed.
Yeah. K-Fed.
Multiple times. She didn't want to, she kept going, and I just went, okay, well, so you know what? You do me a favor, and in this public forum right now, you go ahead and list all of the anti-government violent activities you've engaged in the past 30 days, preferably with names, dates, locations.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to do that. Oh, you're not?
All right. Okay.
Agent provocateur.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Daniel E. Stevens, Executive Director of Campaign for Accountability, the umbrella organization under which TPP operates, told HuffPost in a statement Thursday that, quote, Facebook's failure to stop their platform from being used as an organizing tool for extremists is completely unacceptable. How many Black Lives Matters groups were there? And
how many
organizations?
Yeah.
By Wall Street.
Oh shit! How many members of ISIS recruited using
very
Facebook?
True. Very true. And then he goes on to quote, there is nothing subtle about these extremist books or
He's the one who's sober.
Quote, there is nothing subtle about these extremist groups are using Facebook's platform to advance their causes. Boogaloo proponents are not simply discussing ideals or political views. They are directly advocating for violent action and tactical planning how to defeat government entities.
Anything that shows up on Facebook, I'm sorry to say, is not... If there's active violent action being advocated for on Facebook, it is certainly not by a pro-Boogaloo person.
Yeah, and then they show a screenshot of the thick boog line.
Yes.
I saw that.
And then a post by the thick boog line, and then they share a meme from the founding fathers about stacking bodies.
These were called the equivalent of posers and LARPers by loyalist and British media for years while they tried to find a peaceful solution, right up until they started shooting and stacking bodies.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know what? And the thing is, so again, I mean, you know, if anybody shows up on a Boog page and starts going, hey, openly goes, we need to start killing people and you're just a bunch of pussies and you're a bunch of LARPers and blah, blah, blah. As we pointed out in a meme before the agent provocateurs started hitting our page.
It's a trick. Send no reply. Send no transmission.
Hey, that was mine.
Yeah. You just no. That's a trick. That's a fed. Okay. None of us will ever openly advocate for any of this stuff because we're not idiots.
Brandenburg protects us as long as we keep our mouth shut.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but the funny thing is, so when I shared this, I pointed out to Thick Boog Line and Mujahideen for Liberty because they're both shown in that. Y'all boys are famous. When you start getting hate from HuffPo, man, it's the Boog page equivalent, in my opinion, of being a musician who gets parodied by Weird Al. At that point, you know you've made it.
Yeah.
Right?
And then in a statement to HuffPost Thursday, a Facebook spokesman claimed the company is aware of the Boogaloo groups. quote, "We've removed groups and pages who use this and related terms for violating our policies. None of the handful of Boogaloo groups specifically named in TTP's report summary has been taken down as of Friday morning."
Yeah, because they weren't violating anything.
Facebook spokesman said, quote, "We're reviewing the content referenced in this report, and we will enforce against any violations." All right, and then the article goes on to say, "The potential for real-world violence by these groups came into focus earlier this week when an Arkansas Boogaloo enthusiast named Aaron Swenson live streamed himself on Facebook driving around Texarkana, Texas, allegedly looking for a police officer to shoot and kill."
First of all, allegedly is an important word there. Second of all, only an imbecile publicly streams his operation.
Yeah. Comments left on the live
thing called operational security or OPSEC.
I
mean,
yeah. Comments left on the live stream showed some users endorsing attacking police officers. Other users suggested police or people call 911. Swenson was eventually arrested, according to a local police department. A review of his Facebook page by TTP found that he, quote, liked over a dozen Boogaloo pages, including a prominent Boogaloo page called the Thick Boog Line.
I love those boys. Yeah, but I fucking love those boys. Like, those guys are fucking awesome, and I could not be prouder of the fact that they've gotten famous enough to get called out specifically by the left-wing mouthpiece, the ultra state humping bunch of fucking bootlickers that is HuffPo.
Did you guys catch that live stream or catch video of that live stream or pieces of it?
Yeah, I did.
The guy was absolutely fucking bonkers. Right?
Oh yeah, the things that he said from 1 minute to the next didn't follow, nor did any of it make any actual sense or connect to anything. Like, it really didn't. In one moment, he'd talk about how he was hunting cops. In another, he'd go off on some conspiracy rant that had literally nothing to do with police.
And weren't there the cops behind him? Just saying.
Yeah, like, it was the most... Yeah, no. That guy was just mentally unhinged, all right? Like, he just was. Which is another thing that any Boog boys need to be concerned about, is the mentally unhinged among you. Like, don't trust them any more than you would trust a Fed. Like, anybody who's openly calling on a public platform for you to discuss or do some sort of violent action against somebody is a Fed. Like, they just are. Guaranteed. They are either agent provocateur, for sure, or they are just so dumb and possibly mentally unstable that they shouldn't be trusted anyway and should be treated the same way. If you want any kind of operational security, you don't deal with those people. They're nuts. You just let them go. You don't talk to them, which is why I always point out to those people who are like, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to. No, see, whether or not anything's being done, you just don't know. Not because anything may or may not be getting done. It's because no one trusts you, nor should they. Because if you're openly calling for that, no one should trust you ever for anything.
Is that an FGC 9 or is that a Tech 9?
That is not a Tech. The design's wrong.
Is that the FGC?
Kind of looks like it.
Yeah, that can't be a Tech 9. Tech 9 has a stamped metal lower receiver, and that is not stamped metal. That's polymer.
No, that looks like an AR trigger group in that too.
That is weird. I don't know what that is, but it might be an FGC. But
yeah, it's got a long stick mag.
But you notice the way the magwell tapers too.
Mm-hmm.
What does that use?
Show it again. Show it again. Let me see it.
Because that's a pretty extreme taper on that magwell.
Well, it's not a Glock mag.
But I mean, look at that taper.
Yeah. Maybe
there's the magazine that used it. Looks like it's stamped to me or printed. Probably
that looks like doesn't that look like almost like it would use 7.62 toke?
It kind of
that
does.
Kind of taper.
32 ACP or something, but
like that's weird.
It's an actual straight-walled case instead of a tapered case, like a 9mm Lebel.
Yeah, and the pistol that he used.
That looks like a Beretta 92. Almost.
Yeah, of course it was one of the most garbage pistols ever invented. Yeah, no. It's That's
870.
Oh, look, a pump shotgun.
Yeah, those are his boog weapons apparently.
So this dude was an mentally unstable FUD-ish with a mystery gun.
Oh, and a stainless 870, because concealability means nothing.
The thing is, I really that little like almost subgun, which is probably semi-auto and not actually subgun.
But
Jesus, look at those ears. The man could fly away.
Yeah.
No offense to one of our mutual friends, Chris.
He wasn't fooling anybody.
Yeah, I know you're talking about
that. But yeah, that almost subgun is really odd. I'm trying to figure out what the hell that is, because it's definitely not a Tech 9, because a Tech 9 does not have that magwell design and is a stamped lower. So, and a stamped upper. So it can't be a Tech. I don't know what it is and what it could be. The only thing I think of is 7.62 toke. That's the only thing that makes sense.
But the magazine was too short for 7.62 toke.
I know.
It looks like 9mm magazine, but
it's weird. Why is it so wide in the back and so narrow in the front? Like, what? It's bizarre. What is that? I mean, maybe it's
I'll drop the link to that in our Facebook group.
That's not bottleneck. Yeah, it's really weird because it's. Man, I want to know what that is because I kind of want one now. I kind of want one now.
Yeah, the guy had a fucked up kit, so.
I really like weird guns just for the collectability and because I find them mechanically interesting. And I'm a gun geek, right? Like, I eat, breathe, sleep guns. So weird mechanical stuff when it comes to guns is always interesting to me.
I don't apologize for the fact that I want a toke or a 7.62 toke in a subgun. I don't apologize for that.
That'd be actually pretty badass, let's be honest. I think all of us can agree that a 7.62 Tokarev submachine gun would be fucking cool.
All right, let's put a life vest on this train and get back on track.
Life alert! I've fallen and I can't get up.
All right. I think I might like this article more than the Ammon Bundy one. All right. You guys remember New York, de Blasio? We talked about in the last podcast about they had the snitch line where you could text pictures of your neighbors, not social distancing, and we gave out the number several times, and we mentioned sending in a few things. De Blasio's social distancing tip line flooded with penis photos and Hitler memes.
Gosh, I can't remember. Why? I can't imagine why they would use Hitler in this instance. Yeah. I'm
Mayor Bill de Blasio's critics let him know how they really felt about him ordering New Yorkers to snitch on each other for violating social distance rules by flooding the new tip line with crank complaints, including dick pics, people flipping the bird.
I want to throw this out there. So they sent dick pics to a tip line.
Yeah.
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
Photos of extended middle fingers, the mayor dropping the Staten Island groundhog, and news coverage of him going to the gym have all been texted to a special tip line that de Blasio announced Saturday. One user sent the message,
God damn it, I love this country so much.
Overreach. And then to the service and got the automated response, and the part said, "Hello, and thank you for texting NYC 311."
God damn it, I love this country so much.
This is fucking glorious. Like, blessed are the trolls, for we shall take no.
Other profane messages, including a photo of a bowl of gummy candies in the shape of male genitalia and a sign saying to eat a bag of dicks.
Yes! It's fucking glorious. It's so great. It's so great.
Oh.
And there's the it also says Dear Karen.
Dear Karen.
Eat a bag of dicks.
The picture of that from the tip line.
Oh my god. Oh.
There's another one. There's a good one.
Man.
De Blasio with the stash.
Oh.
I love it.
Y'all the real MVP. Oh yes. Oh, it's so glorious.
There's another tipster.
I love how they blur the middle finger, like we can't tell what that is. It's oh my god. Oh,
heroes wear cape.
So good.
Some of cell phones.
There's one. The GAD stand and then the automated response.
Don't fucking tread on me. Oh man, it's fucking glorious, and that's and that's how you show how absurd and irrelevant they are, and you ruin them.
Yeah,
like it really is.
Didn't he make it like it was? He announced it like last Friday or some goofy shit, and by Tuesday they had shut it down because they got flooded with all this.
Yeah,
stuff.
It didn't last very long.
All right, an NYPD source said that the dick pic photos of real penises have also been texted to 311, and a caller phoned in a tip that de Blasio was seen performing oral sex on someone, quote, in an alleyway behind a 7-Eleven. Hold on. Quote, he looked at me and coughed in my direction, the caller said.
He had an entire story for watching de Blasio blow some dude in the alley.
Yeah, the inundation of off-color text was so large that the city had to temporarily shut down the service.
Oh, it's so good. It's so wonderful.
That is
the best part is
so beautiful.
The best part is that there were people who had accepted jobs working on this line who had to look at dick.
Oh.
It's so great. It's so fucking wonderful. Oh, I love people sometimes. Oh. Yeah. God damn, I love this country so much. Oh.
Unfortunately, there were no dick pics in the article, so.
Well,
sorry.
thank God, actually. But I gotta say, of all of the things that you could have sent to that make me the happiest that it was sent to that, it's the dick pics. Because you literally made hundreds of government employees look at your penis. And that is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I love this particular blurb in the article that says, "Fuck you," replied at Morgan L. Schmidt 1, along with a meme showing Adolf Hitler in the words, "To those who turning in your neighbors and local businesses, you did the right thing."
They fucking called him a fucking Nazi so many times. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, that's.
And then consider that New York City has a seriously large Jewish population.
Right.
And he's getting called a Nazi. And this starts to take on a whole new perspective. Oh my God, it's fucking,
Yeah,
it's so good. Like, that's hope, man.
Oh,
that is hope. Like, it's hilarious, but that is hope. The fact that, yes, there are snitches in our midst constantly, but that is hope, right? Like, the people responded in a very dramatic way and ruined their tip line because they flooded it with so much extraneous information. And that's how you destroy those things, right? That's how you destroy intel gathering.
Yep.
Because 3/4, a lot of people don't realize because they've never worked in ops. 3/4 of determining ops is picking through extraneous data to find actionable intel.
Yeah, Ben talks about it in Sedition, Subversion, and Sabotage. He talks about flooding our opposers with false information.
And
exactly.
Over, like, literally, like they had to shut down, right? So they got so many messages that they overwhelmed the system to the point that the system shut down.
Right. And having worked in such a field, I remember pouring through screenshots and satellite photos and all kinds of random bullshit to find one tiny scrap of actionable information. I mean, you look through terabytes. You look through terabytes of data to find a
haystack, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, except this haystack had dick pics.
Except this haystack was made out of penises.
I mean, I can remember sitting behind a desk and just staring at count for hours on end throughout the course of my day at terabytes of data.
Your eyes start to cross, and
and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, that's something, and you take a screenshot and you send it up the chain to the nice guy. But I mean, you spend so much time analyzing bullshit for no good reason.
The solution,
and then all of a sudden, to get one image of a good actionable thing, and it's hysterical.
And the longer you can make that take, right? So the longer you can make them work to find actionable intel, the less relevant that actionable intel becomes.
Right.
In general, what we regarded was after 24 hours, that intel is irrelevant.
Yep.
Right? After 24 hours, especially human.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, I remember looking at photos and whatnot, and you look at the date and the timestamp, and you wouldn't find this particular photo of good information until, say 28 hours or 30 hours after this particular photo was taken. And you're like, well, that would have been actionable intel if I hadn't gotten flooded with all this other shit. So we're just going to throw that aside and try to find something more current.
Right. So if we can continue to flood them and all of these intel gathering sources as much as possible with useless shit, then anything that they might find actionable, it just falls by the wayside until it's not even actionable anymore.
Yep. Same with giving like false tips to the media.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
On the false stories and just fucking make shit up. Anyway, all right, let's get on to this last article because we're getting low on time.
COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO.
Let's just run this until we get through all of them. That's fine.
All right. Again, propaganda in the media. Armed supporters stand guard outside Dallas salon defying COVID-19 stay-at-home order.
I love this article so damn much.
Too.
Just
it gave me a little bit of an perpetual erection, but hey, that's just me.
On Thursday, Shelley Luther, owner of Salon a la Mode in North Dallas, told WBAP radio that she's struggling to pay her bills amid the COVID-19 pandemic. That's when she made the decision to reopen her shop despite state and city stay-at-home orders in place for non-essential businesses. Quote, I'm having to make the decision on whether to pay my mortgage or to pay the salon lease, she said. Quote, I choose to pay the salon lease because my 19 stylists are more important. On Friday, Luther opened her salon doors to customers at 9 a.m. Some supporters who had gathered outside the salon showed their support, quote, were carrying guns while Luther welcomed customers into the salon, according to WFAA Channel 8. Luther had security guards at both doors of the shop to manage the flow of customers who were required to wear masks, the TV station reported. Dallas police arrived on the scene after receiving multiple calls complaining about the social distancing violations in front of the salon. Officers and Dallas Fire Rescue came and went multiple times until 1 p.m. when officers issued Luther a citation. North Texas, blah 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 blah. Protests have been happening all over the country defying stay-at-home orders, blah 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 blah. Fort Worth, blah blah blah. Luther also told WPAB that she applied for a federal small business loan, but was denied, and she hasn't received her stimulus check yet.
And keep in mind, speaking of federal small business loans, that there are hundreds of millions of dollars that went to publicly traded companies, which the federal government is asking to get back because it was intended for small businesses, and those companies got it anyway.
Harvard got $8 million.
The freaking Kennedy Center for the Arts got 25.
There's an HOA in Florida, like one of the world's richest zip codes. The HOA got like $10 million. Nobody laid off at the HOA. All right, so back to the article. Quote, I have received zero income from the government, and I applied the first days possible that we were allowed to. Luther was also sent a cease and desist letter by Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins. She told WPAB that even if she faces a fine or jail time, she wouldn't shut down. Quote, that defeats the purpose of opening in the first place, and it lets them know that anytime someone stands up, they can just shut you down.
Good for her.
Absolutely.
Good for her. I will happily pledge my rifle to stand between her and them if she pays my travel expenses. I'm sorry, but if she pays to get me there, I will happily set up in front of her business, and there ain't no cop issuing a fucking cease and desist order while I'm there.
Well, there's another article that came out today that it's from an alternative news site, but there is a video, so I know it's accurate. But it says, Salon a la mode, North Dallas, blah, blah, blah. The owner says she'll ignore the citation and cease and desist letter from the city to shut down. The one act of defiance created a big protest one day later where salon owner Shelby Luther publicly ripped up the citation before a crowd of about 100 people.
Yes!
Woo!
Yes.
Civil disobedience at its fucking finest right there.
She stood up for her right to open, and then she said she wouldn't pay the fine she got from the Dallas police officers.
Amen, sister.
Yeah, she's also quoted as saying, I'm not doing anything criminal, so they cannot arrest me.
Amen. She's not. She's violating an edict from the governor. She is not violating an actual law. Good luck holding that up in court. Not only that, the bottom line is, do you know how many people are behind you if they really try?
The crowd of 100. Just saying, right?
You figure 100 people showed up, stand outside in front of her business with, let's say they all show up armed for some reason.
If 10 people show up armed, that's a pretty good message.
That's a pretty good message. But let's say the full 100 show up armed, standing outside in front of her business in support. There is not a SWAT team on the face of the planet that's going to go, this is a winnable situation.
Yeah, they all know that they don't win that.
Yeah.
At best, it's a draw. and it's not worth the loss of life.
It's not the lawmakers that are the ones that are shutting businesses down.
Yeah, it's the cops.
Well, I just had this discussion with somebody the other night. It's not the magical piece of paper that the governors are signing or anything like that. It's the damned cops at the local and county and state level that are willing to threaten you with violence that give these things the weight of law. If they're not willing to threaten you with violence to ensure compulsory compliance, then these edicts, these executive orders, whatever the hell you want to call them, mean absolutely dick.
Right, exactly. It's the fact that there are armed men who are willing to go.
There's the screen. I'm not going to play the video, but there's the video, and you can see the caption: "Salon owner rips up cease and desist letter."
Awesome.
Yeah, and there are, and that's the thing that people don't get is without people willing to enact violence on behalf of these men and women who are just declaring these things, it's just the rantings of a madman.
Right.
You need someone who's willing to go, "These are the orders of the Führer," in order for them to actually be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't sit there and fucking tell me that these fucking cops and these bastards carrying guns are somehow innocent because, well, they don't make the laws. But they do. They might not write it, but they make it real.
And
they are the ones.
We can bring it back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show with those two idiots from Calumet County, and I'll even call them out directly here on the show: Deputy Eberhardt and Deputy, was it Freilich, something like that.
I don't know, but I'll post their fucking addresses. People keep up bitching about us posting their names. Don't fucking tempt me, Karen.
Ohio, 1969.
But I mean,
I'm not saying anything should happen to them. What I'm saying is I will post that so that it's public information. Anything that happens, I had nothing to do with. I simply posted their information so that they are aware that it's out there.
But I mean, you look at those two idiots, bringing it back to Wisconsin for Andrew and I. They stood there and they told a woman, a mother of a daughter who just went stir crazy in the house and went out to play with the neighborhood kids, because I'm a parent. I'm a parent. I have 3 children. My 6-year-old daughter asks me constantly, because one of her friends literally lives kitty corner from my house, if she can go over there and say, "Hey, can I play with this person?" I was like, go ahead. You can go ask. But what's going to happen if the one local cop that we have on every shift shows up and says, "Hey, knock that shit off"? Well, for me personally, nothing changes. I'm going to let my daughter go over there and ask to play with her friend. But there are so many people out there that are going to be like, "Hey, the cop said this is what's going to happen, so this is what's going to happen." And I'm like, I mean, and that's all that you're seeing with this story is cops willing to threaten people with violence and economic ruin because they refused to listen to an executive order, which is not, now I'm not saying law is by any means a measure of morality, but these executive orders are not laws, people. They are not laws. In order for them to carry the weight of law, they have to have and this is from a statist perspective. I'm not a statist, but from a statist perspective, you have to have people willing to kill you over these executive orders.
Which demonstrates the ultra thin, thread thin line that separates 1,000 tyrants from one tyrant.
Right.
All that matters right now, and what's been demonstrated, is that one tyrant can order a thing, and that there are 1,000 little tyrants who are willing to enact violence because one man said something.
Yep.
That is how Hitler got his power. Yep. That is how Stalin got his power. That is how Mao got his power, and Pol Pot and every other fucking tyrant in history, is that one man said something and 1,000 were willing to do violence to make his words reality.
No different than Bush, Trump, Obama, Biden, Pelosi, Feinstein.
Yep. And I'll draw the parallels between those so-called elected individuals and, Che Guevara, Castro. These are people that we know of, even people who don't study history, who don't pay attention in their stupid high school indoctrination history class. These are people that are well known in modern politics. Look at the Kim family, or Maduro, who's now in charge of Venezuela, or the Castros in Cuba. Pick a damn country. Freaking Duterte in the Philippines.
All right, let's start closing this out. I just want to read this one article, or this one quote from her. Ms. Shelley Luther, the salon owner. She was at a Open Texas rally yesterday where she tore up the citation. And she said, quote, "I'm not anyone special. I just know that I have rights. You have a right to feed your children and make income, and anyone that wants to take away those rights is wrong."
Amen, sister.
Absolutely.
Amen.
On that note,
there are thousands of people who are willing to stand alongside you, well armed and ready to do violence to defend your right to do business.
All right, plug your page.
All right, so if you guys want to check out Inked Anarchists Hootenanny Roundup, please do. We post a lot of Boogaloo memes. Also, I have gotten a pretty sweet deal for the followers of Hootenanny Roundup and Wolf in a Sheeple's World. If you want...
Tag beard up.
Yeah, if you want beard care products, I managed to get you guys a 15% discount for following us. All you got to do is go there, use Inked Anarchist 15, and you'll get a 15% discount on their products, which are really high quality and smell freaking amazing. If you're unsure of their scents, use the scent guide. It's set up a little weird, but if you go to the scent guide, you can find out what all the scents represent. They're all Viking inspired, pretty awesome, and they work. Obviously, I have a wonderful man mane, and I got to tell you, they do a great job at keeping it very soft. Their beard straightener is like $97, so it's pretty pricey, but a 15% discount makes it slightly less so, but it's worth it if you have a really unmanageable mane. It's awesome. Check them out, and please use that discount code. Save yourself some fucking money.
And in case you haven't noticed, this is a pretty popular thing amongst those of us around here, is the facial hair and taking care of it. And believe me, I've been looking at the products in which Andrew has just been plugging, and I'm going to be ordering some myself, even though I am involved with the Inked Anarchist Hootenanny Roundup. I am the Valhallarchist, and come on, come check us out.
Oh. Yeah, what those guys said. This has been Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable Discussion episode 91, and we'll catch you next week or the week after, or I don't know, we might go crazy in the meantime. Yeah, peace.
Peace.
Yep.